And it is the muscles of the uterus which, as we have seen, draw up in a slightly spiral motion, and the muscles of the cervix begin to release. Now, when I first heard that, I thought that's extremely odd. How is it that a message can go to one organ of the body, of the uterus, through the nervous system, through the hormones, and the two sets of muscles behave exactly in the opposite way as a result? One works, the other lets go. And then I thought after a while, because sometimes it takes a little while for things to filter through, of course, that's how all the muscles of the body works. If you want to do something as simple as bending your arm, the biceps works, the triceps releases. Triceps is completely redundant until you want to straighten your arm, and then the triceps works, and the biceps releases. All the muscles of the body work in pairs. The muscles of the uterus are exactly the same as all the other muscles of the body. They work in pairs. The funny thing is that all the muscles of the body are comfortable when they're working as they're designed to do, and yet the muscles of the uterus are frequently considered to be uncomfortable, if not painful, which does seem the most appalling design fault. And when you consider the miracle that's our bodies in every tiny respect, and you would think these muscles would be the most effective because they ensure the continuation of the human race, and yet they appear to be malfunctioning. Because if you have muscular pain, it's generally because if you went for a 20-mile hike, probably your quadriceps would be a bit stiff the next day. If you painted all the ceilings in your home, the muscles of your arm would be stiff the next day. But that would be the next day. Nobody ever had labour pains the next day. So that's not the answer. But if you had painted all the ceilings in your home, the next morning when you went to turn on your bedside light, instead of going click, you'd go, ooh, and the movement towards your light switch will be slow and inefficient and painful, simply because as the biceps went to work, the triceps would be stiff and would not be releasing, and they were working against each other. There's a battle going on, and therefore that movement is slow, inefficient and painful. Exactly the same with the muscles of uterus. Those ones go to draw up, those ones hang on, there's a battle. And therefore each contraction is longer, less efficient, more uncomfortable, and therefore there are more of them, and therefore labour's longer. Not only that, but because they're working against each other, they crush the blood supply, which carries the oxygen. And as we all know, muscles, in order to work well, need a good blood supply and good oxygen supply. Furthermore, that is the oxygen supply through the placenta to the baby, so you're more likely to get the baby in distress, so everything's going wrong. On the other hand, if as those work to draw up, those ones are gently releasing, each contraction is more efficient, shorter, more comfortable, there are fewer of them, and labour shorter. Very, very simple and very, very logical. The question is, what makes the difference? And we get back to the sympathetic nervous system, the fear response, which was designed, it's a great system, it's a lifesaver. It was designed many millennia ago when the emergency that you met was wandering over the brow of a hill and seeing a saber-toothed tiger in the valley in front of you. And what do? You freeze. You hope you haven't been seen. If you have been seen, you run. And if you can't run fast enough, you turn and fight. And really, it's not the fight-flight response, it's the freeze-flight-fight response in that order, which, as we have heard, we all know what an adrenaline rush feels like. We've all driven down a road and a car shoots out in front of you and you jam your foot on the brake and it's like an electric shock down your back and your heart starts to pump, ready to run or fight. Your eyes are out on stalks because if there was one saber-toothed tiger, there might be another one. And all your resources, all your energy go to your arms and your legs. Great for running away from saber-toothed tigers. Absolutely useless in labour because you're not going anywhere. The other is the harmonious, balanced, comfortable response, the parasympathetic nervous system. In that system, we produce oxytocin. And any time we're reasonably comfortable, we produce low levels of oxytocin. We produce great peaks of it at special times in our life. When we fall in love, when we make love, and the biggest peak of all a mother produces just after she's given birth, which is part of a bonding of mother and baby. It's also the hormone which makes the uterine muscles work in labour, which makes labour efficient. So as long as our mind is in the right place, that we're confident, labour is efficient. The system's there. Hypnobirthing doesn't have to put you in a strange state. The system's already in place. The other hormone you produce, of course, is endorphins, which are related to morphine, although many times stronger. And endorphins are our own natural pain relief. And we produce it when we, in our mind, we're confident and calm in the parasympathetic nervous system. So we are already programmed to produce oxytocin to make labour efficient and endorphins to make it comfortable. This jewel of a system is already in place. Occasionally you hear of a woman who gives birth comfortably, even without hypnobirthing, probably in what we it's a misnomer, we call undeveloped cultures. You know, woman working in rice field, pops off for half an hour, has a baby, comes back and finishes working. So plainly, if one woman is able to give birth like that, a woman's body is designed so that it can be done. Therefore, any woman can do it. And I'm always talking, of course, about the normal natural situation, which is far more prevalent than we would sometimes give it credit for. So the question then arises, under those circumstances, of course, because you're not planning to run or fight, all your resources, all your blood supply goes to your internal organs, which is great for being able to digest snacks to keep your energy up in labour, even more important for the muscles of the uterus. And the question is, what flips you from one to the other? And the answer is, it's this bit of the brain. Michel Audin says, never, never, never disturb the neocortex of a labouring woman. Because it's that bit, when that bit flicks into gear, all the worries come in, all the fears come in, which is why it's so important. A father is there during surges to help her focus, to keep her mind working with her body, which is why hypnobirthing works so very, very well, because you're dealing with this bit. It's why we have pain when other mammals don't, because they don't have this bit. They have the bit that works perfectly well. It's just that we superimpose this bit. And what hypnobirthing does is all the practice, all the course, just gently helps you let go of the fears. Release, 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 release. Until shining through is this wonderful, perfect diamond of how a woman's body works giving birth. And it's there already. All we have to do is get out of the way, which is why hypnobirthing works so very well. And the thing that flips us from one to the other is fear and being observed, which of course is why labour frequently slows down when somebody goes into hospital, because they're in a strange place. However kind, however nice, it's a strange place. We never leave traces of ourselves in a strange place. We're just mammals like that. You can go away for a weekend, a really great, romantic break, fabulous place, great time, but what happens? Very frequently, you'll be just a little bit constipated. The body does not release in a strange place, and it's not until you get home that your body releases. No animal will leave traces of itself in a strange place if it can possibly help it. There might be a predator. And a baby is a very, very big trace of ourself. We find it in much smaller ways too. You can be coming home from work thinking of this and that. You walk through the front door and instantly you think, I want to pee. You hadn't been thinking about it. It's just that subtle, gentle relaxation. I'm at home. And the body says, that's all right then, I can let go now. And it's exactly the same for a woman in labour. Which is why, of course, women are always told not to come till they're in established labour, 3 or 4 centimetres dilated and that sort of thing, because it will stop, if not reverse. I often think that a woman who goes in and is examined and is 1 or 2 centimetres, she might have been 4 or 5 centimetres when she left home, but then the body said, not sure. So that's the sort of theory of how hypnobirthing works. And fathers also, that's the bit that they sort of really like, because they can see the sense of it, and then we can get on with the work.